Let us begin. Tēnā koto te whānau o Auckland Unitarians. Tēnā koto nā manuhiri. No mai, haere mai ki tēnei whare karakia a te atua. Tēnā koto, tēnā tata katoa. Come, you accidental pilgrims, you who find yourself on a journey of surprise and wonder. Come, you who emerge into this place as an act of liberation. Come, you who seek a life of mindfulness and a place to test your thoughts. Come, you who bring hearts of all kinds, heavy hearts, rusty hearts, hearts broken open in revelation, hearts full of love to share. Come, you who seek courage, and you who have more courage than you realize. Come, you who stand behind the curtain, gathering up the resources to claim your truth. Come, you who have been in a bubble. You are poised for transformation. We begin our story again, gathering courage, love, mindfulness, and a sense of purpose. We gather as people of all ages, of different abilities, different backgrounds, and different perspectives. We share a covenant, a direction for our shared journey, and a commitment to encourage and challenge one another in spiritual growth. This morning, we listen to the call of those who will be, a reminder of who we need to be. In the weaving of our story to the web of life, we must remember that we must not cut the strings, for there are others coming after us, others with tender hearts and strong wills, with creative determination, those who will live in the house of tomorrow. Their vision escapes us, yet we are called to prepare the road, to leave behind possibility and foundations upon which they'll build a better tomorrow. We are called to create new opportunities. This path will ask much of us. Let us move forward with love. Let us move forward with appreciation for one another. Let us move forward knowing we are not alone. Whoever you are, whatever your gifts, you are welcome to join this journey. Let us begin. We have far to go. We are all slaves. When we gather hand in hand, our church, our community, our home, we inspire, we celebrate, we come together, sharing our light of hope for our shared future. Please join me in the words for the covenant of our congregation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each other and with our God. Now let us stand, if able, to sing our Spirit of Life. My reading is from a book called Fast Future by David Burstein. At 8:27 p.m. on Saturday, April 23rd, 2005, Jawed Karim saw a message on the screen of his computer. Video uploaded. He smiled as he played it back. It was a 19-second video he had recorded during a recent trip with a friend to the San Diego Zoo. The video begins with Jawed observing the elephants as he says, "All right, so here we are in front of the elephants." Jawed aptly titled the video, "Me at the Zoo." Today, this moment seems so completely unremarkable that it is hardly worth mentioning. But it actually changed the world. Like the famous moment in 19th century history when Alexander Graham Bell said, "Watson, come here, I need you," announcing the birth of telephony, Jawed Karim had just uploaded the first video to a website called YouTube, a website he was working on developing with friends. Jawed was 22. He's now 41. YouTube is 15. Jawed and the other two YouTube founders, Chad Hurley and Stephen Chen, sold YouTube a year after they created it to Google for almost $2 billion. A couple of separate events in the past week have come together in my musings. The first was the 42nd birthday of my youngest last Sunday. The second was the arrival of my new iPhone. The first boggles my mind. The second does too, only in a different way. When Alyssa arrived a year after Star Wars debuted, and 2 years short of being of the millennial generation, personal computers weren't a common thing yet. But 5 years later, her dad bought an Apple IIe. I thought it was the marvel of the age and all the computer I would ever need. She was indifferent. In her memory, they have always been around. She thinks of them like I do, a toaster, useful for some mundane tasks. Turns out my first computer was greatly surpassed by the Macintosh computer 6 months later, and I had to have one. Seems I find it easy to fall in love with Macintoshes. If my daughter had been born only 2 years later, she would have been one of the millennials born between 1980 and 1994. There had always been computers in their experience, and they had a different take on my Mac. Catherine Knight, 24, wrote in May 19, 2012 in the Seattle Times op-ed section, "We're a generation that has seen so much change so fast. We saw big, old, chunky Macintoshes, computers in our first grade classroom. And we saw them turn into iPhones. That kind of growth breeds optimism," she said. Since millennials make up 1/3 of the world's population, their optimism is a good thing. Stubborn optimism is just what the world needs now when a virus is creating mass chaos. Turns out our context is everything where generations are concerned. The attitudes of the parents of boomers were shaped by the Great Depression and World War II. My American boomer attitudes were shaped by TV, assassinations, Vietnam, civil rights marches, and the Beatles. The boomers' children, the millennials, have been shaped by a dizzying pace of change. Burstein describes it this way in his book, Fast Future. Towers on fire, crumbling and falling as people run and scream. A finger-wagging president parsing the definition of sex on national TV. A student opens fire at a high school in Colorado. CEOs in shackles hauled off to jail. A dictator's statue smashing to pieces as it hits the ground. Stock chart soaring to the skies and then back down again. A newly minted president in a jubilant Chicago park and a moment of hope. Logging on and logging in from everywhere. Profound world historic events mixed up and mashed up with celebrity gossip and as news. War reports from somewhere in the Middle East. Families facing foreclosures, belt tightening, and hard times. These are some of the moments, images, and experiences that have defined the millennial generation's formative years. Many of us have experienced them in just this way, as a rapid-fire jumble, sound bites, words, icons, images, video clips, short, interrupted, and out of context. But somehow coming together like puzzle pieces to create our own context and consciousness. While this diverse blend of visual imagery, fragmentary ideas, sounds, and clicks continues to come at us, we scarcely notice the overall dissolution of authority in society, the collapse of institutions, the increasing level of complexity, and the inability of existing systems to manage through it and solve problems. Rapid change is the only constant, and the chief survival skill for millennials is keeping our balance in this sometimes mad, sometimes surreal, always changing, topsy-turvy world. And certainly, the millennials have contributed to this rapid-fire change. Mark Zuckerberg was a 19-year-old Harvard sophomore when he created Facebook to connect Harvard students. It turns out millennials share their boomer parents' idealism, but they reject being called revolutionaries, ready to overturn the system and start over. They consider themselves an oxymoron that confounds their parents, idealistic pragmatists. They believe in a quiet progression towards significant, scalable, and lasting change. A 2010 Pew Research Center study concluded that the millennial demographic is confident, self-expressive, liberal, upbeat, and open to change. In opinion polling, millennials exhibited a striking openness and even consensus on issues that have been at the center of polarization in society. They don't think dividing us gets things done. And lasting change takes time. Perhaps their commitment to reversing climate change, like our millennial prime minister, recognizes the importance of taking the long view, not the short one offered by our election and business cycles. The environmental movement has taken on board the spiritual discipline of the seventh generation principle. First articulated sometime between 1150 and 1500 Common Era. In the laws of the Iroquois, or their preferred name, Haudenosaunee Confederacy. 6 tribes in New York whose influence reached a large swath in America, swathe here, of north central US and Canada. Part of what made it remarkable is that it is one of the first and longest lasting participatory democracies in the world. It is credited with being a contributing influence on the American Constitution due to Benjamin Franklin's great respect for their system of government. The 7th generation principle is the philosophy that the decisions we make today should result in a sustainable world 7 generations into the future. Today, it is generally referred to in regard to decisions being made about our energy, water, and natural resources, and ensuring those decisions are sustainable for 7 generations in the future. But it can also be applied to relationships. Every decision should result in sustainable relationships 7 generations into the future. The peacemaker, who is the lawgiver, said, "When you sit in council, in council for the welfare of the people, you must not think of yourself or of your family, not even of your generation." He said, "Make your decisions on behalf of the 7 generations coming, so they may enjoy what you have today." One tribal chief explained his understanding. "If you ask me what is the most important thing that I've learned about being a Haudenosaunee, is the idea that we are connected to a community, but a community that transcends time. We're connected to the first Indians who walked on this earth, the very first ones, however long ago that was. But we're also connected to those Indians who aren't even born yet, who are going to walk this earth. Our job in the middle is to bridge that gap. You take the inheritance from the past, you add to it your ideas and your thinking, and you bundle it up and shoot it to the future. And there is a different kind of responsibility. That is not just about me, my pride, and my ego. It's about all that other stuff. We inherit a duty. We inherit a responsibility. And that's pretty well drummed into our heads. Don't just come here expecting to benefit. You come here to work hard so the future can enjoy that benefit. Millennials get this. My musings took me to what keeping up with generations means for Unitarian Universalism. In 1961, when the Unitarians merged with the Universalists to create something new in religious movements, it was midwife by the Boomers. The music in our hymnal was selected by Boomers, which might explain the inclusion of Kumbaya. Boomers shaped our principles and our theology. Boomer Unitarianism was later influenced by Gen X Unitarians who wanted more mystery and spirituality included in our theology. And it is now being influenced by millennial Unitarians who recognize science and want to protect the planet and don't hate anyone, and most importantly, don't fear change. In fact, they welcome it in political, economic, technological, and religious spheres. Unitarianism won't stop evolving. It's an article of our faith. Gen Z, the only generation to wholly live in the digital age where smartphones, tablets, streaming, interactive websites for shopping, and apps are just accepted as part of the landscape, are coming after the millennials. Who knows how they will incorporate Emerson, Thoreau, Theodore Parker in their Unitarianism. My hope is that for at least the next 7 generations, the UU values of freedom, reason, tolerance, standing on the side of love, and building the beloved community will be part of our DNA. If so, I won't fear other changes. I will join millennials in welcoming it. So be it. Let us now stand to sing our closing hymn. Please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of humanity, or the fire of it. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. My closing words. Because of those who came before, we are. In spite of their failings, we believe. Because of and in spite of the horizons of their vision, we too dream. Let us go remembering to praise, to live in the moment, to love mightily, and to bow to the mystery.